Hello, welcome to more fun. Welcome to More Fun Retro. Yeah, I had a rebrand. So welcome to the whatever this is now. I have another video that explains everything and why I did. It might actually be on the second channel, which is now More Fun Retro 2, and you'll find a link to that in the description. So if you're curious about what the hell is going on, go and watch that one. I don't want to spend too much time explaining in this one because this is all about fixing some ZX Spectrums, and here is one. This one is a quite a special one. This came in a plus case, and it has an issue 1. I've just noticed a little, oh no, there's just a reflection. I thought there was some green on the legs of that ROM, but there's not. An issue 1 motherboard inside a plus case. Actually, I wonder if it says, yeah, it does say upgraded here on it. My springs are falling out. Time catches up with all of us. So this is a lovely issue 1 as well, with the lovely cockroach mod. I keep saying, wanted to say spider mod. Is this a spider? No, this is the dead cockroach mod. And yeah, the spider mod is the one in the issue 2 on top of the CPU. A totally different layout to the issue 2, with the RAM sitting on this daughterboard up here, which is pushed into the, I can actually show you this before, let's unplug it first. Very, very carefully pop it out of its sockets. Yeah, a couple of sockets here, 16 pin and a 14 pin here, which is interesting because on here, where that 14 pin is a 16 pin, and 2 of the pins just hang over the end of the socket, which is quite fun. But the whole thing fits in there really nicely. It actually just sits on top of the coil here. But these are, on their own, are quite expensive. If only somebody would come up with making one, because I've got an issue 1 ZX Spectrum up on my shelf right at the top there, next to that TI-99, and it doesn't have the 32K daughterboard. I wonder if somebody could come up with a solution to this. Ooh, segue to our sponsor. How slick was that? I even took the time to shave off my scraggy beard for this. But enough about my personal grooming. Let's talk about the amazing sponsor of today's video, PCBWay. PCBWay offers a massive range of services, from CNC machining and sheet metal fabrication to a veritable smorgasbord of 3D printing options. But the service I use the most is the core of their business, and the reason it's right there in the name: PCB fabrication. Now, some of you watching this might think that having a custom PCB made for your own projects is way beyond your skill set, but you'd be surprised. Many of the boards I've had PCBWay manufacture for me were actually designed by incredibly clever people in the community who kindly share their work. So you don't even need to mess around with making your own designs. Honestly, just dropping the Gerber files onto PCBWay's order page is just about enough to get you started and almost finished. You still have to pay, of course, but the checkout process is seamless, and in no time at all, your freshly minted PCBs will be dropped through your letterbox, ready for you to populate with components and bring to life. Speaking of which, that's exactly what I'll be doing with these brand new ZX Spectrum Issue 1 32K RAM upgrade boards, designed by my friend Julian, with just a little bit of help from me. If you want to bring your own project to life, click the link in the description below and check out PCBWay today. A huge thanks to them for sponsoring this video. And now, let's get back to the repair and the beard. Right. Yeah, surprise, I'm back. Okay, so I'm going to make that video, or I'm going to make that daughterboard in another video. This one is all about ZX Spectrum Issue 1 repairs. I'm not sure how many I'm going to fix. It might only just be this one, but this one actually works. Let me show you. I've got it connected up to capture. If I turn it on, it actually works fine. And if you have a look on here, Paul said it's got picture is dodgy and take off the reset switch, because he wants to put this back into a proper 48K rubber key case with the proper grey keys, because the issue 1s came with these lovely grey keys. and the later ones had these like blue cast to their keys. You can see the difference here. The main thing actually that you need to know is if you're cleaning one of these ones, you could probably jet wash one of these or put it in the dishwasher and that would be fine. I'm not sure. Don't put it in a dishwasher. Just wash it with like washing up liquid. It's quite effective. You can wash them also with isopropyl alcohol, but if you did that to this one, all of the letters come off. So don't do that to issue 1 keyboards. So Paul will want to put this back in an issue 1, but it's got this reset switch has been put onto it, so that needs to come off. And he did mention the dodgy picture, but I have already fixed that. That was just a quick tweak of TC2, which is a variable capacitor here that adjusts the colour subcarrier frequency. I don't know what that means, but I looked up what the blue cast to the picture meant and or what the issue with it was, and it said to adjust that capacitor and that will fix it, and it did. And it was not very exciting, so I didn't like fake put it back so that I could do it on camera because I didn't see the point of that. Now there's a capacitor underneath this heatsink which has the leads of this reset switch attached to it. So I'm just going to pop out the heatsink. It's got a little shim, and very carefully dab each one of these legs and just take this wire off like that, leaving it exactly as it was. Actually, I think this has been in a previous video because, and I forget because there are so many repairs. Is this the one? I'm pretty sure I've changed one of these chips. That chip there has been changed. Yeah, this has been a previous video. I think it has. But yeah, just to sum up, it had a bad memory chip and I diagnosed it as that one and changed it, and it works fine now. Excellent. So that's now ready to go back once I put the heatsink back in. That goes next to that. And that goes now like that. That's filling. Alright, I'll just pop this one back in here just to keep it safe. It has actually, it's a nice case, this one, a nice plus case. I don't like the plus case. Let's put it back in properly with the screws and everything. Right, so I've put it all back in its plus case without the reset switch, and I'll send it back to Paul like that. The pitch quality on these isn't brilliant, so I don't expect this to be a daily driver machine, but once it goes back into an original 48K plus case, 48K rubber key case like this one, then it will be more of a shelf display piece, but it's a working machine now. Okay, so this really is a special one because I've not just got that one 48K issue 1, I've got 3. Well, I've got 4 in total, but these 3 are broken. Well, actually, that one might not be broken. Oh, I think I might have already fixed it. It says tuned, so we're not fixing that one. That one's done. But that is that's an issue 1. So we've got 2 to fix. We've got one with flashy screen, and I've already done a pre-diagnosis on this with my Steam Card Pro, and it's missing plus 12 and minus 5 volts, which is likely to be a transistor gone in it. And this one only has 9 volts, and it's got a short on TR4. So it says new membrane, dead, new power pack. 9 volts on new power pack, old one dead. So the old power pack is dead. Oh, that's interesting. Right, so let's take this one apart first and see if I can quickly fix this without getting into the weeds with it. Right, new membrane, as he said. And this one is very early. Look at the serial number on this. This is a is number 589 off of the production line, made in the UK. One of the very first 1,000 computers made, more than the first issue ones made. Don't know if there were any prototypes before this, but there wouldn't have been many. And this one has a completely different cockroach mod. Is it a dead cockroach? I can't remember what it's called, but I don't know if you can see down here, instead of a little PCB, the chip has just been placed on the board upside down with the wires flying out of it. That's absolutely amazing. I've never seen that. What a fantastic thing. This is super, super rare. So I'm going to work on this as little as possible. I'm not going to be desoldering chips wholesale. I will try to, I'm probably just going to change the TR4 and TR5, and or at least TR4 first. And then hopefully that fixes it. It could also be the 7805 regulator. But what is this one? This one is only 9 volts, so it could be the voltage regulator. But I want to show you what I found first. Actually, we can take this one out. Oh, I have to go underneath this tape to get the screw out. Probably the first time it's been out of there since the factory. A couple more bodge wires on the back there, leading up to is that the keyboard? No, that's there's a resistor pack just going along there. And they come from next to the ULA. They look like, yeah, ULA points. So cool to see this. Does look like the ULA has been changed, actually. It's one of the first ones. 5C102E, 1982, 17th week. So it is right bang on the money for being the one that came with it. There's a bit of that needs to be trimmed off. It's a dangerous bit of what is that? Yeah, there's a bodge wire just with an extra bit of wire sticking through that could easily be bent over and short on something. Solder joints on the power socket look okay. The power socket itself looks okay, even though it's got a capacitor soldered across the back of it. So cool. What else are we looking at here? So we want to look at TR4, which is these 3 points here. And if I go on to diode mode, and I put the black lead in the middle, that's wrong. And that's very wrong. So it could be, it's more likely TR4 than anything else, but before I'm going to take it out and test it out of circuit, because I think it would just be sensible to do. So I'm just going to reflow some solder in there before I try and take it out, or before I try and take the solder out. It's probably one of the most expensive ZX Spectrums I've worked on, so I'm a little bit nervous. Struggling to get the solder out of these joints for some reason. I'm just going to reflow all of them. And I'm going to use my Hacko on its lowest setting. There we go, that's out. Much less dramatic way of getting it out. Okay, and And what does this say? Yeah, broken. If it says it's a diode, then one side is completely shorted. I could probably show that out of circuit here as well. So that side's working but badly, and this side, oh, is weird. Yeah, it shouldn't be passing both ways, so one of them is not acting as a diode. Oh, they're both not acting as a diode. So yeah, ZX 651. Oh, wait, this is 650. I need a 651 to replace it. Before I do that, though, I just want to check what's happening down here, because just the resistance across the voltage regulator, because it was a bit weird. I should have shown this. That's much better though. Kilo ohms is, yeah. Okay, so as long as I haven't got any weird high resistance there, then that's good. So make sure this is a ZX 651. Get it in the right way. So what I'm hoping is that that's it for this one, because I really don't want to work on this. I don't want to be fixing a machine that's worth so much money, because I don't want to mess it up. I have a bit of a track record for breaking things that I'm fixing. I'd much rather turn this on now and it just go, yeah, you fixed me. Well done. Good job. I'm not going to be composite modding these either. Again, these are showpieces. This is not meant to be used. If someone's going to use an issue 1 without a daughterboard, by the way. If only somebody had made one of those. No, not another Segway. But it's got the sockets there for the RAM expansion, so it could be added. So now what I'm looking for is the voltages on the Steam Card Pro here, and if those show up, by the way, my polarity is correct on my power supply and the voltage is correct, and my power supply is current limiting to 800 milliamps. It's not running. So if that's not broken now, still just 9 volts, which means that the 9 volts is coming in, and it goes from here straight to the edge connector, which is why this picks up 9 volts. But it also then goes down to the voltage regulator, and I think it goes somewhere else. It goes into the DC-DC circuit as well. I think it goes through the coil, but some of it goes to, or part of it goes to the 7805 and is then turned into 5 volts. So we should be seeing, and it's probably, I mean, it's only drawing a couple of hundred milliamps, not even that. I think it's like 20 milliamps. So we should see here that the input side, which is this one, will have 9 volts on it. If I click this and have this on voltage, so that's got 9 volts on it. Let's turn that off. And this should have 5 volts, but it hasn't. So I think that's the regulator has gone. So we can easily replace that as well. And I'm not going to do anything crazy like putting a switching regulator in there, because it's an issue 1 and it's a super, super beautiful condition. Early, very early serial number. ZX Spectrum Issue 1, and I'm not going to mess around by upgrading it with modern components. There's a time and a place for that sort of thing. Let's turn the Hacko back on, because I definitely need it here. If you were going to use an Issue 1 as your daily driver, and there's no reason you shouldn't, if it belongs to you, you do what the hell you like with it. If you were going to do that though, I would say put a switching regulator in it, because this tiny little heatsink here is inadequate. Let's say that. That's the polite way of saying it. It's bobbins. There's another way. Okay, so I've got the irregular 7805s. I don't know what they're rated to, but the more modern one that I've got here is a 7805 CV, and I think this is rated to, it's either 1.5 or 2 amps, which will be plenty for powering this. I mean, it only draws probably 600 milliamps. Whoops, probably less. This one has only got 16k of RAM, so it probably draws quite a bit less than that. I didn't reflow it. That's probably all right, actually. But I'm going to do it again anyway. Give that one in the middle a little bit extra time, because that's the one connected to ground. Nice big thick trace on the top, and it's connected to a big bit of metal on the bottom there as well, which will suck all the heat out of the soldering iron or desoldering station. Still quite hot. There we go. I could test this by connecting it up to my bench power supply, but it's fiddly, so I'm not going to bother. The way to do this, I found that you would hope that they would put the legs there in a position where you just have to bend, where the end of there's like a little step down there where my nail is. You would hope that you would just have to bend it there, but no, they made it a little bit too close when they made these, so you have to bend it actually on the, well, about a third of the way along that first bit. I'll just give it an initial bend there with those, because I can't bend them all the way, and then like that. Right, I'm going to put a little blob of thermal compound on this just to give it a little bit of help. Not much. Why does it go everywhere? Right, now I've got that in place, I can just tighten this down, get the heatsink in the right position. That'll hold everything in place. Oh, let's get that cardboard in place as well. Like that. Solder these in. Snip those off. And it's really easy to snip these off really close to the motherboard, and then, you know, cause a weak joint there, but I've made sure that I've left a good chunk of leg sticking out there. Right, now what do we get? Okay, ready? Yes, and it's running. A better looking picture than the other one. So it knows it's only a 16K, so it's past that. The 16K of lower memory down here is all good. Not sure I agree with putting insulating tape on top of the ULA, but there you go. One working 16K issue 1 super early ZX Spectrum. Does this have a new membrane? It does. We can test the keyboard. I can leave that there for a sec and just balance this on top. we go, keyboard test. Perfect. I mean, it's not perfect, it feels terrible, but it's working. I'm not going to do anything else with that. I'm not going to recap it. Doesn't need it. Just going to leave it alone, and whoever buys it, the lucky devil, will, well, they can recap it or do what they want to it. Okay, so TR4 plus, done, one down. Now I suspect that this one is possibly much the same. So let's have a look. Much later, in the 4000s, this one. This is what you're looking for on an issue 1. If you can get a picture of if you're not sure if it's an issue 1 or not, and they could have had a new membrane, because these did get ruined, and then somebody might have replaced it with another case or just a keyboard membrane, keyboard mat. If that's happened, very often you're going to get this hole in the bottom that is the thing that indicates it's an issue 1. See, there's another one there, and there's another one there. But if I look at this issue 2 here, no hole right there. There's a little dimple where it should be, but there's no hole. And that's to adjust the, I think it's the TC1, which is the variable capacitor that controls the dot crawl. I think that's which. We'll have a look. Let's see where that marries up to. Yep, it is TC1. So this one's got a daughterboard. Probably a broken membrane, and the proper cockroach mod. That's it. I'm going to actually remove this daughterboard for now, just in case it gets damaged. That's a nice one. If only someone had come up with a way of recreating this using, no, not again. Right, so this one doesn't have, it's missing 12 and minus 5 volts. So that's probably, again, TR4. And it's probably the case that the voltage regulator is all right in this one, because it was showing the 5 volt voltages. Something's... I think there's something inside the can that's rattling. Have a look. Oh yeah, that's a bit of Bakelite, and where this hole is here, there's an adjustable coil. So I think that this modulator might be toast actually. So I'm going to have to composite mod this one. I think that's the sensible thing to do here. I will, I mean, that's a very reversible, the way I do it is very reversible anyway. I could take another modulator off another Spectrum, but I don't have any spares. I don't think, I do actually, there might be one. And they're not too difficult to take off. But what I'll do is I'll composite mod this one after I've finished working on it, and leave it like that, and find out what Paul wants to do with it. But TR4. TR4 is here, and I'm going to stick the black lead in the middle with diode mode. That's a dead short. On one side it's an absolute dead short. So there's not really any point in messing around with this. It's just a case of whip it out and test it out of circuit. Desoldering station was left on, so it's nice and hot. Come on. Pretty sure all the legs are, yeah, they're all free. Stick it in my chip tester. Nope. It's just a resistor. It's a 1.4 ohm resistor and nothing on the other side. It's completely blown. Well, I'm glad I didn't put the ZX 651s away. I had a feeling I might be using another one. Okay, with Steam Card Pro in, I'll be looking for the voltages again. First thing to look for over here, make sure all 4 of those lights are lit, and they are, and it's running. Right, so this is with just the 16K on board. There's some random noises. I think there's a bit of bus contention going on there that might be upsetting it slightly. Let's stick the motherboard in, the daughterboard in. Big hole there is where the top of part of the case has a big peg in it here. It goes through there for that center screw. Picture quality is a bit ropey, but that's more down to the connection over here. Oh, 16, 19 and 21. Huh. Right, so I need to work out which one is 16, because it says on here IC 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 for the upper RAM. But 16, 19 and 21 will correspond to certain connections that, and I need to trace out which ones they are to work out which chip is the one at fault. That's a bit of a shame. Before I do that, let's give that a little squirt. Looks like these have been reflowed anyway. Okay, so definitely a fault, but probably a good thing to see it do the same thing again, just to make sure that it's not intermittent in some way. 16, 19 and 21. Oh, ULA is already toasty. 61 degrees, 65 degrees now. Yeah, this is definitely a display machine. I'm not going to be putting in heat sinks on this. That's again for somebody in the future to do if they want to. All of these upper RAM chips are the same temperature. So nothing's got hot. All right, schematics time. Hello, I'm back. I've watched a very informative video on a ZX Spectrum Issue 1 repair that was discovered in a plus case, and the title of that video is "This Spectrum is Hiding a Big Secret" by someone called More Fun Fixing It, which is not my channel's name, but I've watched that video and refreshed my memory on how to because in that video I also had a 32K daughterboard with a faulty chip on it, and I had to do the same thing where I had to find the data line on the CPU to find out which pin was the data line that corresponded to which IC. So these are obviously not IC. This is IC, IC, IC. These are not actually designated IC 16, 19 or 21 on here. In fact, on the other side of that daughterboard, they actually say IC 1 to 8, and that's not helpful because the diagnostics has told us 16, 19 and 21. Now, 16, 19 and 21 are connected to data lines 1, 4 and 6, and my Steam Card Pro has the, on the edge connector, you've got those data lines as well, and my Steam Card Pro has these edge connector breakout testing points. If I poke this probe into data line 1 on here and then start to just look for the data line, hopefully on one of these chips, hopefully. Oh, it's always the last one, isn't it? So that is data line 1, which is IC16 here. So I'm going to get a thin black Sharpie just to put a little witness mark on there. And I can, as I said in the last video, I can clean that off later. And I did in the last video. Data line 4. So let's start at this end this time. So this one, yep, here, and data line 6 is that one, not that one. There we go, we're back all the way up this end again. Okay. So we know what we've got to do. Did it before, and I actually said in that last video, I don't think I'll ever do this again. And it's not even 6 months. I think it was the start of the year, so it might be just about 6 months later. I've got another one with 3 chips broken on it. It's a bit bowed, that board. So let's do the same thing. Pop these out. I'm going to be super careful because this is a very fragile board and I don't want to mess it up. So I'm going to reflow at 330 degrees. All of the pins on. I'm going to do one at a time. So I'm just going to take out this one in the middle first. If this one's broken and it's still got a fault on, and I'm sure it will have, I'll take out the other 2 at the same time. 2 in one go. 2 for 1. And my desoldering station is still switched on. Looks pretty good, but I think I'm going to have to heat it to get it out. I'm going to be tempted here to give this a little lever out. Yep, one side is out. And the other side. Phew, and no damage at all. Right, chip tester. So these are 4532-20NL3s. Let's grab a chip tester. I know, so I've been told that there is an updated firmware for these, but I know that this works. So there's the updated firmware for, yeah, there is a new firmware for this multi-retro DRAM tester, but I haven't applied it yet, and I don't really have time to do that right now. So I'm just going to do it manually. Okay, so what is it? It's a 4532-NL3. High Z, check, data pin 14 stuck low, shorted chip. So I'm going to put it back in the board like this and run the diagnostics again, and if it still comes up with the same 3 chips, because one's going to be missing now, then I'll take the other 2 out. Yeah, same 3 chips, so I'm pretty confident that they are all broken. So I'm just going to whip these out now, and I'll come back once these are out, and I've got some chips ready to put back in. Right, here's the new, here's the removed chips. Let's see if these ones are March B, row 0, R0W1, address 3000 E0G1. Nice. So that one's failed that way. This one, just not there. Just double check that. Yep, very broken. I'm pretty sure that I just put in 1 matching chip in the last one, but I don't have any of these now, so I'm going to just put in 4164s which will be fine. Okay, so I've got 3 4164s here that all match. That one's got slightly faded text on it, but they are all, it's a different code, but it's the same chip. Let's just make sure that these are okay. These should actually just test as the same as this 4532 NL3. So, yep, passes. It's only testing 1/2 of the chip. It's the only half that's going to get used. Yep, I'm happy with that. Don't need to do any more, apart from pop these in here, solder them in, stuff it back into the Spectrum, and then hopefully this will be completed. Quick clean with some IPA just to get rid of those crosses mostly, and a bit of the flux. There's hardly any flux on there. Let's see what that does. Place your bets, ladies and gentlemen. I think that this will work now, but who knows? Looking good. Yay! Brilliant. That's worked. Okay, I'm definitely I'm not going to mess around with it anymore. I don't think the keyboard works on this one. Actually, we should just check that, really. It'd be nice to keep the original membrane, although it looks in pretty bad condition and very weak. Oh, no. Okay, something bad has happened. Could just be the edge connector. Phew. I think when I was pressing on the keyboard, it was moving the diagnostics cart around in its slot, and that caused it to freak out. I've seen that lots of times before. So try the keyboard again. It wasn't working, the keyboard, but I'm going to try and give it an extra shove into its sockets, just in case, but I don't think it's working. Yeah. Less than the first time, actually. Nothing. So that will need a new membrane. But Paul will sort that out. Okay, right, let's put this back together. Oh, I've got a composite mod, this one. While I've got this open, I'm just going to give the edge connector a quick clean with an eraser. Must forget to cut that off. Not too worn, just a bit corroded. Okay, of course you can put just a straight wire into from that point there to the inside of the RCA jack. That will work equally well. This just removes a little bit of DC offset, which will make it a little bit friendlier with certain TVs. And I know that Paul, Universal Retro Boss's TV, is super fussy about what it's plugged into. Right, I need a different lead. Just a normal lead this time. That should just work. Excellent. It's a bit dark on my screen, but I will brighten that up in editing, and on a TV that can just be turned up. The brightness can just be turned up. Right, put this one back together, and I think we're done. And there we go, a ZX Spectrum Issue 1 repair-a-thon. There was the other one I did, but that had its own video, so I'm not going to give that any more airtime. The prima donna. leave a note on here for Paul. I will check this one just to make sure it is tuned, but I'm pretty sure I wouldn't have put tuned on there if I hadn't done it. So what was wrong with this one? This was 3 upper RAM and TR4. There we go. So we've got 3 issue ones ready for Paul to sell wherever he sells them. Don't ask me where he sells them, because I don't know. Ask Paul. He's Paul Universal Retro Boss. You can find him on Facebook under the name Paul Universal Retro Boss. You will find him in groups like Spectrum for, is it Sinclair for Sale or something? I can't remember what it's called now. I might put a link in the description. But you can also find him on Twitter, where he hangs around with all the other... Anyway, not going there. Right, thanks for watching. If you like what I do, then please subscribe. This is going to be, you're going to see all of the content on one channel now, so I don't have to make you go to different places. It's going to be much less confusing. If you want to support my channel, I don't say this very often, but I do have a Patreon, which has a new lower tier to it. So if you want to support me and what I do and help keep the lights on, that sort of thing, then going to Patreon is probably the best way you could do that. Or you could, you know, come around with a wheelbarrow full of money. Actually, no, don't do that, because that would be really creepy. Unless it was a lot of money. I don't have a price. Right, thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.